Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today I will be doing a very quick analysis of two recently revealed LEGO Harry Potter Summer 2019 sets, these being set number 75957 The Night Bus, which will be releasing on June 1st with 403 pieces and 3 minifigures for $40, and the other set being set number 75964, the Harry Potter Advent Calendar, which will be a 305-piece set for $40. And just starting off with the Night Bus, this is easily the best design of the bus LEGO has done, and I do plan to do a more in-depth analysis video when we get more images than just this one, but okay, so to go through quickly, the set includes 3 minifigures, those being Stan Shunpike, Ernie Prang, and Harry Potter. Harry is the same figure that comes in Expecto Patronum and Hagrid's Hut Buckbeak Rescue, but the other two figures are entirely new. Stan has the Sea Captain hat from Minifigure Series 10, cast in purple, with a red stripe printed on, as well as printing for black for the brim, a new face print, and a new torso print that's basically the 2011 torso print, but they add on the correct red stripes that were missing on that figure, and they take off one of the straps, which isn't accurate, but I think it looks less cluttered this way, which is good. We also get Ernie Prang, who has the grandpa bald cap piece that they used for Alfred in the Batman movie, with white for the hair color, which is new. And he also gets a new face print and a new torso print, and the torso is basically the 2011 version, but on a tan background instead of dark gray. And our last figure-ish thing is the shrunken head, which is printed on a black minifigure head, with the face itself being just printed on the front to make it look smaller, and all the black is meant to represent the dreadlocks, which I think works pretty well. It's unknown if the set will include Hedwig, but I doubt it. And just looking at what we have here, I love the curvature. That it does seem that for a lot of the windows, they did introduce a new window piece that's like a 3 by a 3 stud wide and 3 brick tall window. That's what it looks like to me, and maybe I think it's 4 actually, so 3 wide, 4 tall, and those look really good. We get a bunch of them. You could say that they're not entirely accurate to the movie, since in the movie the windows were wider than they were tall, but I don't know, I really like the look of this design for the Night Bus. And we can see that there will be some stickers around, such as the standard 1x4 on the front for the Night Bus. Towards the back, we have the sign about destinations. And then on the front, we have one for the grill, one for the license plate, although now that I look at it more closely, those actually might be the same piece, but I can't be sure. And there also looks to be a little blue sticker over on the one side. So a few stickers, definitely going to be some new parts colored in purple, aside from those window frames, of course. I think this might be the first time that we're getting the 1x2 cheese slopes in purple, as well as the 2x2x2 curved pieces. Well, I guess 2x2x2 curved pieces. Anyway, okay, and around the front wheel, it is a bit messy with the transition from purple to black, and then the back fender does look a bit off, so it's not perfect, but it is very good. Very close to basically the perfect LEGO Night Bus. Now, we haven't seen the interior, but we can see that the chandelier hangs down to the second level, and the description did mention a sliding bed inside, so we can imagine that to be on the first floor as usual. And, yeah, the set will be 403 pieces for $40, which is a perfectly acceptable price to part ratio. It does feel a bit awkward when you compare it to how last year's $40 set was 500 pieces with 6 minifigures, but that was just above and beyond, and this is more average. Like, again, this is a perfectly good price, perfectly acceptable. Like, heck, for any other licensed theme, this would be really good for $40. And I mean, it does look very nice, and I imagine that basically everyone that doesn't have a Night Bus will want to get this set. I mean, heck, I have the 2011 Night Bus, and even I want to get this set. And if I did have to have one major complaint, it's that on the second level, you have what looks to be a clear piece, like a clear panel piece, that doesn't really fit in with all the other windows. It goes down a bit farther and up a bit higher than the frames. That's a bit unfortunate. But other than that, the model looks fantastic, especially the top layer, because like the slanting at the front and the curves at the back, that's fantastic. Anyway, I've talked enough about this set based on one image, especially considering how, again, I am going to do a more complete analysis video when the set's fully revealed with more images. But last thing, up at the top with the minifigures, you can see some accessories. Harry will come with his standard dark brown wand and a chocolate bar. And there will also be a chest that looks to have a lantern on top, maybe, as well as a tile. And I'm not sure what that would be. It might be the letter piece. That might be contradicted because we're getting a new letter print in the Advent Calendar. Speaking of the Advent Calendar, it is set number 75964, and it will be another $40 set, this time with 305 pieces, which for Advent Calendar fare is actually really good, especially considering that this set comes with spoilers, minor spoilers since you don't know who they are, but the set will include 7 minifigures, most of whom are exclusive, and just describing everything that's on the box here, you can see that there will be a new Harry figure with his dark blue H sweater from the first movie, which is nice. Basically, this entire calendar seems to be based on the Philosopher's Stone, which I think is a good choice for a first one. I imagine that next year it would probably be based on Goblet of Fire, but they could also do, like, one for each movie. Like, maybe next year could be Chamber of Secrets, but I don't want to talk about next year, let's talk about this year. So Harry looks great. Hermione is another year 1 figure. They're all year 1. Her torso is new. It's like Dean Thomas's from the minifigure series, except the scarf is more poofy and it ends on the torso since it can't carry down onto the legs. And that's a really great print. It's actually the only Hogwarts uniform that we know of in the entirety of this year's span of Wizarding World sets, unless there's one in the $15 set that's supposed to come out in August. And I don't think I mentioned, but this set we don't really know when it's coming out because it was revealed alongside the Night Bus, which is another June set, but it's an Advent Calendar, which they come at usually about September, but there's also a wave of sets coming in August, so we don't really know when this set's coming out. But yeah, and Hermione is holding a new letter print that we seem to be getting 2 of in this set, I'll get to that in a minute. But it looks really nice, very accurate. I'm going to the last figure we can see on the front of the box here. You have Dumbledore, which looks to be the exact same figure from the Great Hall. But that's perfectly fine, since I imagine that a lot of people weren't able to get that set, and this is just a much cheaper way to get him. Like, in general, this set is a great thing for people who missed out on some of the stuff from the first wave, especially the Great Hall, because there's a lot of, like, the figures are great. A lot of them are figures that you just want. We don't really have any unimportant figures here. Well, I guess we have one. But anyway, mostly important characters. And the builds are pretty nice. And going to the builds, you can see starting off on the right, you have a fireplace, which looks very nice and cozy. I very much like the texture and also the wreath on it. That's nice. It would definitely go in the Great Hall. It's a bit smaller than the one that comes in the actual set, but I actually might do the swap since this just looks really nice and cute. I mean, in general, that is something I really like. A lot of these builds are designed to go into the Great Hall, so if you have that set, you can fully Christmas it up. If you don't have that set, then, well, this set includes a lot of stuff you could use to sort of make one, just custom. Gives you some great building blocks to start with, and that was not a pun, at least not intentionally. Okay, so then for other stuff, we can see some tables, and it looks like we're just getting the one and all the others are just in the image here, But there's another image that I'm not showing since it's literally the exact same aside from this one thing, where all of the tables are brick built, and I'm guessing that was just because that was the online display image that's just all the stuff on a white background, and it would look a bit weird if that stuff that's currently on the other tables was just floating. But if you don't get all those tables in the set, it would be a bit disingenuous. But anyway, so you get a table, which is nice. It honestly looks better than the ones in the Great Hall. So it looks to be 6 long, which is, I get it, since you do need to fit all the parts into the little advent calendar box areas. But I might do a design similar to this, but with 8 long, and use that to replace the tables in the official Great Hall, because this looks so much better than those. But then for food, you get a turkey. You get what I guess is a dish of every flavor beans. And then you also get a candle, which is pretty cool. Then in the background, you have some Gryffindor flags. And you have this very nice Christmas tree that looks so much better than the average advent calendar fare. Like, that one also looks like a slightly smaller version of the one in the Yule Ball set, which totally makes sense, and it'll be great to have 2 Christmas trees. And in general, this is great because the clock tower that we're getting this year is, again, it's a Yule Ball set. You already get stuff in that set to sort of make it Christmassy. And it has all the figures for the Christmas theme, and this allows you to do the same thing for your last year's sets, for years 1 and 2. And yes, but then, so it looks like you get presents for each house. The Gryffindor and Ravenclaw ones are my favorites, but I like that they did spruce it up. Not a huge fan of Hufflepuffs, but again, it's nice that they tried to have them all be different. Gryffindors I like because it looks like you get another one of those letter prints on there. And yeah, those are all the builds they show off on the front, but if we look to the top of the box, you can see one more thing, which is the 4th figure of 7, which is a new Ron, which is, again, the Philosopher's Stone version, with a dark red torso, with an R on it for his R sweater, which he isn't a huge fan of. He hates maroon, but, you know, it's a great print to get, and again, it just helps for the Christmassy setting. I love that instead of doing one dumb Santa minifigure like Santa Darth Maul or Santa Jango Fett, LEGO's instead putting their print budget for the Advent calendar into making a bunch of characters that you actually want in variants that you actually want. And I guess now we're going to go into spoiler talk, because I don't consider anything that I've just said to be a spoiler for what's inside, because it's already on the box. So if you buy the set, you already know it. But the description did tell us a couple more things. So for builds, it did describe that there will be a micro Hogwarts Express, which I hope will be somewhere within the realm of scale for the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts from last year, the nanoscale one. I hope that this will be somewhere in scale with that. I'm curious to see what size they do. I imagine it'll probably be similar to the average toy train we get in city calendars and Winter Village sets, just in red, which would be fine by me as long as they do it well and it looks expressy enough. Alternatively, they might do it at a larger, like a 2x something, like a 2x4 or 2x5 scale, and do it on like 2 or 3 separate days, so you could get like one day with the locomotive and one day with the passenger car and maybe one day with the coal car, although I wouldn't be such a fan of that. So yeah, I don't really know what they do with that, and we are also getting a statue pedestal with the 4 Hogwarts house crests on it, and I'm guessing that would be a printed tile, since I doubt they would give us stickers in an advent calendar, but I imagine that the crests would all just be printed on like a 2x4 tile or something, or maybe like a 1x2x2 brick, I don't know. But yeah, so figures, which I think are the main thing, so we already know we're getting a new Harry, new Ron, new Hermione, and a rather uncommon Dumbledore. And don't worry, because the figures keep getting great. First is McGonagall, who it's hard to say because she could be the same one as in the Great Hall, just like Dumbledore, but I doubt they would include 2 minifigures straight reprinted from that set. So if I had to guess, One thing I'm going to say for certain is they're probably going to give her a hairpiece instead of a hat. I know that's weird, and I don't have any evidence for it, but I imagine that they are going to do that variation just because, I mean, it would be nice to have, and it would do a much better job at covering up her alternate face than the hat. It would probably just be the existing hair bun piece in light bluish gray, like they used for the Grandma in the LEGO Ideas pop-up book set. Again, no evidence to back this up. That's just what I'm presuming they'll do. They might also give her a cape. I don't know, but I think the thing most people are hoping for with this, and myself included, is that they will give her the new dress piece in dark green with a print on it, of course, because in the Great Hall set she just had minifigure legs, which made sense since she has to be sitting down there, and I totally don't mind that they did that since again it makes it so that you can better play with her. But I would like to get the dress piece at some point. Like I imagine that we will sometime. Like if we don't get it here, we'll probably get it in sets. It's for Deathly Hallows Part 2 in a couple years. But still, it would be nice to get here. But I imagine that, yeah, even if they don't do that, she'll probably have the hair thing. They're going to have some way to make her different from the figure in the sets. They're not going to reprint two figures directly from the Great Hall. But anyway, our next two figures cannot be reprints, though. The first of them being Professor Phileas Flitwick, who we did get previously in the new Wizarding World line in the minifigure series, but that figure was based on films 3 on, and since LEGO isn't going to reprint an entire CMF figure, and this calendar is based on the first two films, I imagine that this figure would be our first figure of Flitwick as he appeared in the first two films, with the white beard, which would be just so good. I really hope that that's what they do, and they don't just give us like a worse version of the CMF, because I've always preferred Flitwick's appearance in the first two movies, and I would just love to finally get as a figure. I imagine that they would probably try to make it as cheap to produce as possible, since again they do have a limited printing budget, although it might be higher for this calendar because we've already seen a ton of prints, new prints for it, and, Harry Potter does do very well, so they're probably banking on this calendar selling a lot better than the Star Wars and Friends ones, because, it's a much better theme and with much better figures. Because, of course, with Star Wars, they mainly bank on it being bought not by kids, although some do buy it, but a lot of the calendars for Star Wars, the people who buy them are mainly collectors because, they want to get those expensive, rare minifigures. But yeah, so anyway, so for Flitwick, they'll probably give him a white beard piece. I would hope it would be the Hobbit Dwalin beard piece, since that's the most accurate. But that piece hasn't been produced since 2014, and that would also be a new recolor, so I doubt they do that. They'll probably just do the Santa beard, which still works fine. It's hard to say if we'll get a new face print or not, so I won't say anything on the topic. But judging by other reprints that we've seen in this year, I'm guessing that he probably will have someone else's face, which is fine. Not really sure what they'll do for the hair piece, although I presume he'll have one, whether it be some sort of bald cap or maybe the Doc Brown hair piece. Those are basic. They'll probably have the Doc Brown hair piece, I think. And then the torso, they'll probably find someone else they can just reuse it from, since I don't think Flitwick needs a new torso. They could just do anything with some sort of robes. So yeah, so anyway, so there's that. And then our last minifigure is going to be really cool. It is the statue of the Hogwarts architect. Or, well, the description doesn't specify it's a statue, but considering how this guy is long dead before the series starts, obviously, and because one of the builds, as prior mentioned, is a statue pedestal, something tells me that he'll be a statue, which is cool since we got a nanofig of the statue in the nanoscale Hogwarts set, so it'll be great to get a minifigure of him, since he did appear in Chamber of Secrets. It's hard to say what it'll look like, except because he's a golden statue, he'll probably have new face and torso printing. I don't remember if he was bald or not, so he could have a new hairpiece, but I'm not sure. Well, not new, but, colored in gold. And in the movie, he was holding a model of the Great Hall and the Grand Staircase Tower. So I imagine that they might do something super small to represent that. I'm talking like a build on a 1x2 plate. Maybe 1x3. Yeah, maybe like a 1x3 build, but just like a super tiny design for the Great Hall, and then just like the tower would definitely just be like a 1x1 thing, and then the hall would also be 1x1, maybe 1x2, but probably just another 1x1 build. Again, he might not even have that accessory, but it would be nice to get. And if he doesn't, then I would probably just make one to make it accurate. But that's really all we know about the calendar. I've spent a really long time talking about stuff that we haven't even seen. This was meant to be a short and succinct video, just talking about these two singular images we have. But yeah, so the Advent Calendar is a phenomenal set that I'm super excited for. Definitely gonna pick one up. Excited for all the stuff in it. The Night Bus is, it's pretty cool. It's probably the set of the 5 new June sets that I am least excited for, but that's just because I already have a Night Bus, and this isn't some sort of huge improvement on the original. Or, well, it is, but it's not a huge improvement on the 2011 one, at least in terms of features and figures. Well, the other 4 sets are stuff that I've never been able to get before, and they all have super exclusive figures, and they're just... This is the set I'm least excited for, but it's still really cool. And I probably will pick it up June 1st, though. One more quick thing is that apparently in the press release, it gave prices for some of the other sets, and they're different from the prices we got last week. To where it says that the Hungarian Horntail set is $35 instead of $30, and Hagrid's Hut is $50 instead of $60, which lines up with the original leaked list that we got forever ago, and while it would be so great for the hut because it feels like such a great $50 set, and I was just beginning to wrap my head around it being $60, so now if it actually is $50, that'll feel like an amazing value. But that would really just hurt the Horntail even more, because there were a lot of people that already aren't planning on getting it, because it is just generally considered by everyone, basically, to be the worst of the waves. There are already lots of people not getting it. And then there are people who will be turned off because they were like, oh, well, it's not fantastic, but I can stomach it for 30. But 35 is just super overpriced. Like, even I can agree, and I really do like that set. 35 is way too much for it. Even 30 was a bit steep, in my opinion. So I really hope that... Obviously, the best case scenario would be if that was 30, but Hagrid's Hut did end up being 50. It'll probably be this new list rather than the originals that we got last week, which is unfortunate for the dragon, but overall good for the hut. And that is really all I have to say in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. It was way longer than I intended, I presume. I don't know, I'm not looking at the time. Anyway, I'm gonna see you in the next video.